And so what I mean to say is, you agree on the problems with the left-wing populists.
Yes.
And disagree on solutions.
Yes.
The problem is these left-wing populists won't actually listen to you because the media tells them not to.
But that's why shows like yours, and they are, because I tell you who's listening. People in the Rio Grande Valley, the Hispanics, the vanguard of the Trump movement. And you're seeing this, and let's talk about the recall of Gavin Newsom, the golden boy in California. 51% of Latinos in California. When he's recalled, it's because one of the core elements of the traditional Democratic Party has said, we want this guy out. And you know why? It's the mass mandates and it's the education. We don't want these school unions. We want the teachers. We have to have our kids in school. We have to do it. One of the biggest things we have on the show is this woman, Lydia, a Women of Watts. And her big fight is that in a competitive, she's a grandmother, but she cares for all these kids in Watts. She says, in a competitive world economy, kids can't take off a year or two not being schooled at home. They need to be competitive with the kids in China and the kids in Europe. That's why Latinos are leading. This is the ironic part of this. It's Latinos leading the recall of Gavin Newsom. In those 9 Democrats, the 9 centrist Democrats spread throughout the country, except 3 of them are in the Rio Grande Valley in Texas. Cuellar Vela and Cuellar Vela and Gonzalez, I think it is. Cuellar Vela and Gonzalez, 3 down there that are old school. One's retiring. The other 2 are tough Democrats. But they understand the Rio Grande Valley is flipping for Trump. Why? Border security and illegal aliens competing for those jobs at the lower ends of the scale. They're driving wages down. People are rational. The reason listen, this is why the apes are so important. They don't want you to understand finance. They don't want you to understand economics. They don't want you to understand how the system works. I would tell people, hey, you won't have any conspiracy theories when you start to explain and give people the information of the way the system works. Like right now, we've just had Bloomberg had this morning, and I think we can get to that. Bloomberg had this morning that story. Since the CCP virus, $4 trillion has been added to the balance sheet of the Federal Reserve to pay for the drop in aggregate demand, all those interim things. $4 trillion, $838 million an hour.
Wow.
Okay, now we're sitting here in Washington D.C. They're talking about $6 trillion of additional spending. Do you understand that this is going to, not your children and your grandchildren, you, if you're under 35 years old, welcome to serfdom, okay? Because you're always going to be this kind of this lumpen proletariat, right? You're never going to own anything. You're not going to have any, 1 or 2 that write some algorithm or the Elon Musk of the world. Yes, you'll break out. But for the general population, it won't be the days of America where you can support a family on one wage earner and a couple of kids.
They're trying to destroy the American dream.
For themselves. They've taken it all for themselves. Remember,
Right.
They sit there and they put at the party at Davos with that thing, world, Build Back Better. Oh, you're not going to own anything, but you're going to be happy. You don't need to.
They own a lot.
Because you're going to pay, by the way, you're still going to pay the rent, right? Or you're still going to pay they're going to own the asset. One of the reasons they own the assets, that's because there's an explosion. When you have this printing of money, there's an explosion in real assets. That real estate, stocks, this is what's going up. They're the owners of that. You're seeing the greatest concentration, shift in concentration of wealth in mankind's history right before our eyes. That's why it has to be stopped. Now, you do have power. The debt ceiling. They can't really get any of the spending done until they increase the debt ceiling. And that's where the people, and you're going to have you think you had a fire, I called a firestorm about this, about the going back to school. On September 20th, when they come back from this recess and they have to get down to brass tacks, the raising of the debt ceiling is going to be the next firestorm. They're going to sit there and go, the deplorables and Bannon and all these crazies are going to ruin the credit rating in the United States. They're going to implode the stock market. They're going to blow up the bond market. They'll do all this evil stuff, right? All I'm saying is that the full faith and credit, you have 3 ways to pay for things. You sell bonds to the Japanese or Chinese, you raise taxes and grow your way out of increased taxes, or you print money. The only reason we can print money, remember this, the only reason we print money is we're the prime reserve currency. The greatest export we have is the US dollar. Every transaction in the world today, now the Chinese are trying to get off it, cryptocurrency could get you off it, but every transaction in the world has to be generally converted into a dollar. That's why it's the greatest asset, it's the greatest export we have. As long as we have that, we can keep printing money. But all that printing of money, when it says the full faith and credit of the United States, that's you. That's your audience. It's on your shoulders. That means you're going to pay it back. Your hard work, your efforts. The world's depending upon you. The decency the decency of the American people to make good on an IOU. And that day, that is now $30 trillion. You project this thing out, it gets so far over the top, and no economy, they always say this time it's different. It's never different. Once you cross debt to GDP, boom. And that's where we're hurtling down this now. They're here talking about $6 trillion. And here's the question. Look around your city, look around your state, look at your own personal life. Don't take my word for it. We're at $30 trillion face amount, roughly $30 trillion of face amount of debt. By the way, the contingent liabilities, depending on your discount rate, anywhere from $100 trillion to $250 trillion contingent liabilities. But just on the $30 trillion, look around at your state. Where'd the money go? Where did the money go? Where did the money go? Do you see great airports? You see magnificent highways? You see great light rail? Where did the $30 trillion go? Where did the $2 trillion go in Afghanistan? It's Brown University. The net present value of what we spend in Afghanistan is $2 trillion. This is what I asked when I was in the NSC. Show me the hospitals. Show me the roads. Show me the schools for girls. This has got to be Shangri-La. It's the size of Texas. It's 35, 40 million people. $2 trillion. This has got to be Shangri-La. Where did the money go?
Well,
right?
A lot of it was left on the runway there in, was it Kabul, for the Taliban to take in the form of jets and fighter jets. That's a little
millions
facetious.
of dollars each.
I mean, bombs.
Hundreds of millions. Hundreds of
I'm
millions
kind of
of
answering a
dollars.
question you probably know the answer to.
Hundreds
but
of millions
the
of dollars.
arms industry, I mean, they make a bomb, they blow it up. It's gone. But they spent a lot of money, $20 million making the stupid thing or whatever. They decommissioned the jet the next year by
Look,
melting
hundreds
it.
of millions of dollars. Look, these are fighters, and let's be honest. We helped create the Taliban to fight the Russians back in the 70s and 80s through Charlie Wilson's war. But the Afghan people have defeated essentially Alexander the Great, the British Empire at the top of their game, the Soviet Empire at the top of their game, and we've taken the Afghan National Army for hundreds of billions, not 80 billion, hundreds of billions of dollars of your money. We took the world's greatest fighters, toughest fighters that beat everybody at the top of the game, and turned them into the world's worst army. That quit. Because you've been lied to. You've been lied to for 20 years, and we accepted these lies.
But to clarify, though, they did quit, but it was Biden. My understanding is he pulled air support
and logistics. He pulled logistics out of the system.
They pulled the maintenance. They fled Bagram Air Force Base in the middle of the night, and then the Afghan security forces are like, "Where's our support? We have this training, this doctrine, and all of a sudden it's crippled." When the Taliban starts coming in, and the commandos did fight. There's that video where the commandos run out of ammo and then surrender, and the Taliban just come in and kill them all. Eventually, after weeks of this, that's when you see everyone just disband. It fell apart.
This whole aspect of what happened in May, June, July, and what Biden was told, what intelligence was told, this will be if not an impeachment trial, hearings that lead up to this, because this is that grave. What was he told? What was the decisions made? What was the logic, and who signed off of giving up Bagram first, taking the troops out first, and leaving American citizens there? And the thing, how do you do it in reverse order? Who made those decisions? What intel? What were the briefings? What did they look like? Right?
You hear what Milley said? He was ordered to guard the embassy. So they didn't set up a path to Bagram, an Air Force base where they could have been running evacuations. Instead, they tried doing it out of Kabul's international.
But this is where General Austin and General Milley, you got to sit there and go, no, we can't do this because you're going to jeopardize, we know you're the commander-in-chief, but we cannot do this and make the National Security Advisor, in the run-up to this, is he working 24 hours a day, Jake Sullivan? No, he's down in Brazil lecturing Bolsonaro on machine voting for the big contest they're going to have in 2022 between Lula, the communist criminal, and Bolsonaro, a populist nationalist. He's down there lecturing him about his election, when he should be in the Situation Room 24 hours a day sorting this thing out. All of that will come out. Now we're in the middle of a crisis where they've basically had the Taliban tell them, no, 31st is a hard date. You're out. And they're going to move the apparatus. And we don't know how many American citizens. Look, I spent months, and some people spent years, in the North Arabian Sea and Persian Gulf back in, I think, 79, 80. For the Iranian hostage crisis, there were 52 people. We have thousands, and we don't know. Tim, how can we be sitting here on August 24th, and we don't know today, within a couple of thousand, how many actual American citizens are, and I say they're hostages right now, are because you're at the tender mercies of the Taliban to allow them to go to the airport to get out of there.
What was that movie with Ben Affleck where they were trapped in Iran It was based off the true story. Do you know what I'm talking about? It was like in the 70s, I think it was.
This is the one about Ross Perot sending his guys in to get the. In Iran, what happened is that they took the embassy in Tehran, right, and
kept to sneak the people out.
Well, no, but Ross Perot had a company and he had employees there. He went and did helicopter things. He took his people out. We, after a year or 9 months of humiliation, tried to send an attack force to get them from the Persian Gulf and North Arabian Sea. It got to a rendezvous point and kind of crashed and couldn't go into Tehran. We abandoned it. The day of Ronald Reagan's, you talk about peace through strength and somebody being afraid of the new sheriff. The day of Ronald Reagan's inauguration, the mullahs sent the hostages back, all of them, right? Now, one, they want to humiliate Carter, but more importantly, they knew there was a guy in town that was not going to put up with this nonsense, okay? That's where we're seeing, look, you can spit on the floor when you hear Donald Trump's name. Let's be brutally frank, okay? The world was not like that last year, okay? It just wasn't. Okay, now we have a feckless, hapless old man that's clearly not in charge, making disastrous decisions. The other question I got, why do you have a president of the United States that addresses the American people in the middle of the afternoon? Okay, why does he be before the sundowner? Why is he doing things at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 3:45, 4 o'clock? On the West Coast, it's lunchtime. You're addressing the nation. Can you? They'll give you TV time. This is a big enough crisis. I think they'll give you TV time, or even if just cable picks it up. Let's have a talk at 8 o'clock at night
when people are back from work.
When people are back from work. I mean, these are national things. Look, there's no floor. And talk about no coincidences. Rachel Maddow cuts her New Deal. Rachel Maddow, because she's the brains of the operation. You talk about the media. She's the thinker, and her team is. All of a sudden, she wants to spend more time with the family. She's cutting a New Deal, a weekly show from a nightly show, and she's going to start doing West Wings and entertainment, and Ari Emanuel, and she's going to do all kind of things. No, she, just like Jon Stewart, she does not want to be left holding the bag here. She wants out. Okay, she wants out, and I want to spend more time with the family. Give me a break. She's the hardest worker and tough. And hey, on the rise of this, she was all over it. She's seen it, and they want out of here because they understand this is a debacle. This is a debacle. Every one of our allies is repulsed, and the Chinese Communist Party, a transnational criminal organization, with their partners in Pakistan that have been conning us for years, with now the Taliban in the super state with Al Qaeda, Haqqani, and ISIS, plus Turkey, plus Russia, is now going to consolidate the Eurasian landmass, and they're going to be looking at Silicon Valley West, which is Taiwan. Forget what you think you have a moral obligation to defend a democracy. Think about the practicality. You're not going to have a refrigerator. You're not going to have an F-100. You're not going to have an economy, because that bill they're trying to jam through is $20 billion to try to get the high-tech chip design back to Arizona. It ain't going to happen. Taiwan is Silicon Valley West. It must be defended for the practicality of the American economy. And they're sitting there right now looking at that island 100 miles off, and this hapless crowd here that are going to leave American citizens behind.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to see the full show, come back to this channel, youtube.com/TimcastIRL, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., where you can leave comments and super chat, and we actually will read your comments on the show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and if you want exclusive members-only content, segments you can't get anywhere else, go to timcast.com, become a member, and we even have full bonus episodes. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.